When you came here when you were 3 to the States, do you have any memories of Jamaica?
I have pictures that I think I remember taking, but I don't think I actually remember them. I think I just looked at the picture and was like, oh yeah, I remember wearing that dress and
Totally.
So I don't think I really have any memories, especially not like my brother and sisters do.
How much older are your siblings?
My brother is like 7 years older than me. My sister is 6 years older than me. And then my other sister's 2 years older than me. So they all remember more than I do. They have like accents they can do, and my parents have accents, and I can't. I came here and I was just like correcting my parents.
They must have loved that.
Yeah. There's a word for pacifier, which is Suda in Jamaica, in Patois, basically. It's soother, but it's Suda in Patois. And they would say Suda, and I'd be like, no, it's pacifier. And I was like,
Excuse me. And like, oh, God.
What was that, child? Yeah. They were like, why did we bring you here?
Did your parents have other Jamaican friends when they moved here?
Grandmother, my dad's mom was here and brought us here. And so we had my grandmother, we had my mom's sisters, we had lots of family. My dad's sister.
Are you sick of talking about Trump?
Sadly, no.
Oh, really?
Sadly, I think I go through phases, and sometimes I'm just like, no, I don't want to hear about it. And at this point right now, like, I'm still not, I don't know. He's fascinating to me. But it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing how much I think and talk about him. I can't wait for the day, just one day where I don't hear his name. I don't think about him, like all of that stuff. And I've realized lately, people don't even say his name anymore. And you already know who you're talking about. You just say him. And it's kind of freaky. It's kind of like he's reached this sort of like biblical status or something, because all you have to do is say he. I can't stand him, and everyone's like, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like an omnipresence. Yeah,
we can't get away from it. We can't escape.
Watching the clips of you doing what you do with him, it made me relate to him in another way, because I have bullshitted a lot myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was interesting to read that you felt like you had wanted to do that.
Envious, yeah. I mean, you can always just tell when I'm lying. Like, you can everyone can tell, like, so, and I don't know and also there's something in me that catches when I'm like, that's not true. It's a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm like, wait, that's not quite true, and so that's why I avoid people a lot. The reason why I'm such an introvert is because it's hard for me to lie. And I also really don't want to hurt people's feelings like me, so I avoid them.
Absolutely. Did your parents have a strict sense of you have to tell the truth when you were a kid, or where do you think that came from?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I think my parents kind of were like, always be honest. But I think I have gone through phases where like I've cheated on boyfriends, and I've been in situations where I've lived double lives, and I've just so awful that remembering that feeling has just made me so like against feeling inauthentic or trying to feel inauthentic in any way. I just hate it. So
cheating is crippling because it's the high with the guilt.
Yeah.
It's awful. It feels ridiculous saying it's hard on the cheater too, but
I know it was really hard on me. I cheated and it was so hard.
My guilt was just through the roof.
I have a ton of guilt.
Me too.
I'm prone to guilt.
But one of my therapists said that I feel guilty so much that sometimes it could border on me being self-involved with me ruminating in my guilt.
Oh, I'm so up my own ass about things that it makes me useless. Yeah.
It can be crippling. Yeah. Because you're like, well, I don't want to do this. And then I did that. And it's like, guess what? No one thought about you. And you're like, I didn't even think of that.
And actually, maybe I should have just shown up and it would have been fine.
That's why I think existentialism can be comforting, because then it makes everything seem less important.
Yeah, because we do place a lot of importance on things that aren't important, and then they get in the way of things. So yeah, I don't really understand existentialism, but
it's like we're all gonna die.
Okay, I like that.
Kind of. That's the gist of it. So it's like, what is life in relation to that we're all gonna die? And it doesn't mean you can't be religious. What was the song when you started realizing you were bad at singing? How bad were you?
I'm really pretty bad. I mean, Whitney Houston. I was, I tried to sing,
why not?
Like The Greatest Love of All, which is like one of the hardest songs in the world to sing. And
so maybe you just never let yourself get good.
Maybe. I think I try too hard. I try too hard with everything. And so I took singing lessons very recently, like 5 years ago, with a guitar player. Actually, do you know Dan Smith will teach you guitar?
Yeah.
All those posters, I took guitar lessons with him, and I was learning how to sing. And really, it's about listening. And if you can listen and you can hear melodies and sounds, and just doing that same thing back, that's singing. And I just don't listen. I just go for it, and it's wrong. You know what I mean?
I feel very self-conscious about acting, but acting is listening as well.
Yes.
But your listening skills must be fine-tuned with the work that you're doing too.
Yeah, I mean, with this stuff, it's listening and then it's the visual of making sure the sound matches perfectly with visual. And so that I can do. But tones, notes, those kinds of things, I really have to concentrate to match them. My voice wants to go somewhere else that's wrong. It just wants to go to the wrong place.
When you were in high school, what were you like?
I
know you were doing theater.
Yeah, I was doing theater. Well, first I was on the dance team, and then I quit dance to do drama. And then I was doing Shakespeare. And so I was like studying at the Folger Shakespeare Library after school. Like that was my thing. And then I was dating this guy, Brad, of course. His name was Brad.
Right.
That was one of my roast jokes at my birthday. My husband was just like, Sarah lost her virginity to a guy named Brad. That's all you need to know about her.
You know, it is what it is. He didn't get to pick his name.
Right. But I mean, you can imagine what he was like.
Sure.
But so I think I was just like kind of a loner and just had a boyfriend and was in theater and really studied a lot and did really well in school, got a lot of A's.
Would you say you were happy, or where was your head at?
I was just always obsessed with boys. Like
really? That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were always going to say you're obsessed with visions of entertainment. Really?
No, I was obsessed with boys. And
getting them to like you or like hooking up?
Yeah, getting them to like me. I was obsessed with this guy, freshman year, gorgeous guy. Yeah, he dumped me, and that was
in the first place.
Yeah, he was my first dance. I went to my first dance with him, and then I was still obsessed with him. I wrote poems. I have boxes of poems that I wrote about this guy, and so I was obsessed with him. He dumped me, and then I was with Brad, but then I was also, broke up with Brad, dated someone else for a while, hooked up with everybody in theater.
Why not?
Everybody hooked up. So I think that was the thing that I was obsessed with. And that's why I probably didn't have as good friends. I didn't have as good friends as I could have had, is because I was just obsessed with relationships.
I wonder what that guy's up to now that you're so obsessed with.
I know. He's on Facebook. I know what he's up to. I know exactly what he's up to.
He's still looking good?
He looks fine. He has a daughter. He's divorced. I think he's a manager at a restaurant.
You think maybe? Just on a whim. Just guessing.
I'm just spitballing.
On here. Could be, couldn't be. He's off on Tuesdays, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
In one of the talks, you were talking about imposter syndrome. And then I was thinking about one of the books about, appearing smart, and that part of your job when you're at Google and other places was a big part of it was to appear smart. But I have a question. What if you really are smart and that was part of your imposter syndrome?
Oh God, don't fuck with me, Emma.
Because what if you really are smart? You're obviously smart. Look, I was in special ed in high school. I cheated, and then I went to grad school. I can't diagnose, but I feel very sensitive to emotional intelligence. And I don't feel like I'm breaking any new ground here just from reading all your stuff. When you said that, I was like, what if that is the imposter syndrome? But also what a gift with all of the stuff that you've then created from that syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like a fraud. I never feel like I always think there's always someone better who's doing way better than I am, and I'm wasting my time. I mean, even making these videos, while I'm making the video, I'm like trying to make a video and this is stupid. What am I doing? This is a waste of time. Why am I doing this? No one's going to like this. It's just this voice in your head that's just constantly telling you that everything you're doing is useless.
How do you override it and still put it out there?
It's putting one foot in front of the other and just knowing that the voice is there, but your body just keeps doing it. You just keep doing it, and that like you'll put it out there and it'll do what it's going to do, and that's okay. But like finishing is number one. You have to just finish. And I realized that finishing something that's bad is better than never finishing something and never knowing if it was going to be bad or good. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's so tough to hear.
Yeah.
There's the high of the idea. That's a high. Look what I thought of. What do you think of this? The feedback. Great idea. The execution. But also the thing that can be amazing with that too is if something doesn't go well, it's the idea of it not going well that is always so much bigger than whatever that feeling actually is when you're in it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thought that it's going to be horrible and people are going to hate it will stop you from finishing it.
Because what would happen if people really did hate it? If they're like, I hate that.
Well, I don't know. I feel like before, no big deal, but now it's like, oh, lots of people. What if so many people hate this? Because like now people will probably see it and might hate it. I don't know. There's more pressure now. It's so weird. It happened within like 2 months all of a sudden.
I know, it's insane. It's amazing.
Yeah, but I just remember making that first video and just not caring and just being like, okay, but whatever, I have nothing better to do.
Right.
Now it's like, oh God, so many people are watching and looking, and it's scary.
But also you have the comfort of, or I hope you could find some comfort in that you have that body. I remember one time Louis Anderson was talking about his role in Baskets. I was opening for him and he said, I did Baskets now, so no one can say I was a bad actor. Because it was about him putting something new out that he thought people wouldn't like. And it was so interesting to hear him say that, because I was like, well, you have enough body of work now that you have some credit on your account of talent here,
I have things that I've done that are bad too, though. So people can look back and be like, oh no, wait, she really is full of shit. Oh no, she actually is a hack.
You talked about when you had empathy for yourself and realizing you had been minimizing yourself. Was that through working with a therapist, or how did you come to that moment?
I think it was through that first thing that I did that went viral like 6 years ago, Peer Smart Meetings, and just the fact that I started writing that 7 years before that I actually put it out. And it was just like, I think all these notebooks and all these ideas I write down and I just throw them away, and how rude that is to myself. Like, it's disrespectful to myself.
Totally.
It's and then I guess with the success of that, it's just like, how many other things have I thrown away that would have been something if I just tried, if I just given it a shot? And so I think that's when I started to be like, well, I gotta be nicer to me and my ideas and kind of give them a chance instead of being such an asshole, instead of being this like asshole Hollywood guy who's just like, nah, boring, stupid, fuck that. That's, I gotta stop being that person. I gotta be nicer to myself,
I know exactly who you're talking. I know exactly that voice of you. It's just like, too old, too this, too gay, too that, too that. Not that you're, that was me applying me to you. I'm not saying that she's saying that, Sarah Cooper. Too gay, don't do it. Before we started recording, she said, your hair. I'm just kidding. But it is so mean. Yeah, has that come up in relationships? Because in relationships, people have been like, Emma, the way that sometimes your self-talk is, or with other things, is the meanest I've ever seen.
No.
Good.
It hasn't come up.
Good. I'm happy for you. I'm glad for you that it hasn't. How was working with the life coach?
Good. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't remember it too much. It's a lot of pressure. Here's the thing with me, and this is why it's so hard for me too, is that I will sit down with someone and I will, first of all, I can't monologue about myself. It's very hard. You have to ask me very specific questions. So this is very helpful for you, because otherwise I would just be like, I don't have anything to say. So I sit down with a therapist or a life coach, and I feel like as a student, as like this, oh, I'm a perfect student. I'm like, how can I ace this hour, and how can I make my therapist or life coach think I'm their best client? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. But see, the only reason that I had that overridden is because I had to go see one. My parents made me go see one, but I would do that too. I try to win them over, and I struggle with that with my therapist now. And the only reason I got over it was being in a relationship with a therapist, like dating for a while back, who made me get over that. But I know exactly what you mean. I'm clocking it the whole time.
Yes. And it's like, did I say that right? Oh, she seemed interested in that. Maybe I'll talk about that some more. It's always like, how can I please this person? Has nothing to do with how can I get better and what are the things I want to talk about. Right. It's one of these annoying things about me where I'm just like always trying to please the other person. And so it's hard to shut that off.
Has you ever told your therapist that you're doing that?
I told my life coach that I was doing that, and she had a talk with me about how, like, this is for you.
Right.
This is for you. Like, there's no scorecard. There's no like rating at the end. It's all like, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? And that was the thing with general meetings too. When I started doing them, I was like, how do I do these fucking general meetings? Because in the corporate world, you have an agenda. And you have like action items and you have like things like a list. But when you go into a general meeting, it's like, oh, just be yourself and show your personality. And it's like, what? No, I need a list, And so then somebody was like, Sarah, make your own list. Make a list of who you want to talk about, who you want to get across. I'm like, oh, I can take control of my life.
Those general meetings are a mindfuck though, because I had the same thing. I was like, so what is the desired outcome going in? And it's like, well, to meet generally, it's a load of shit. It's someone who is getting a paid break in their day for us to entertain them. It's not a pitch meeting. A pitch meeting is when you're pitching something specific.
Right.
It's a general meeting is really,
it's a mindfuck. It's exactly what you said. And like, I've had some where I nailed, and I've had some where I didn't know what I was doing because I was like, I don't know. They want you to put on a bit of a show and be like, this is who I am. Aren't I funny? Aren't I interested? That's
and you know what else? Who the fuck are they?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are they? It's like, who are you? You couldn't, if it was out of that context, you couldn't pay me to spend time with that fucking person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, actually, some of them I really like, and I would like them to.
Oh, of course, actually. Yes, I misspoke. That was my bad. I was quoting somebody. Right. Yes, I got too comfortable. Yeah. No, of course, they're all great. You got to say there was that one time. So then, right. Yeah. And I actually do have some friends that do general meetings, which is how I learned about it. Okay, I know I got 2 minutes. What are you spiritual? How does religion weave in and out of your life, if at all?
I'm incredibly like optimistic, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that I know this isn't all there is, and I think that there is something else, and I feel like we're all connected, and I think we're seeing that. Like, I feel like this pandemic is us is life trying to teach us how connected we are. It doesn't matter what you believe, we're all connected. How you act affects my life, how I act affects your life. And so we just have to like be aware of that. And so that kind of affects me. And I think people are generally like good, and I want people to be good to each other. And I think, I don't know, my husband isn't as spiritual, which is something that we don't connect as much on, because he has trouble like trusting people, and he thinks that everyone is lying to him and people are trying to advantage of him. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh no, everybody wants the best for everyone, and people are going to be good and they're going to be nice. And sometimes he's right and sometimes I'm right, you know, but I think I'm happier, you know, and I think part of that is just like believing the best, believing that the best thing is going to happen. And I think my parents are incredibly religious. I grew up going to church every Sunday. And if we couldn't go to church, we would read the Bible. And so they're always talking to me about God. And I think as much as I don't really feel religious, I do feel like that seeped in, and I believe in some higher power. And I do believe that we're all connected. So
are they okay that you're not going to church now? Not that I'm just guessing you aren't from what you said, and I wasn't assuming you were.
They keep changing their strategy with me. Like first, my dad would like look up my address and be like, you know, there's a church right around the corner. There's a church here. There's a church here. And then he realized I wasn't going to do that. So now he sends me links to like online churches that I can like just attend like online and stuff. I still don't do it. So, but it's like that helps him. I don't think, maybe it would help me, but I don't think so. Like I've been to churches, I've been to non-denominational churches, I've been to all kinds of churches. I even dated this guy who he was super into, who's the giant pastor in Texas?
Joel. Yeah. I've seen a couple I've watched them before. I'm very interested in watching them from a performance perspective. I find it really interesting. The cult. Yeah. Because the cult of charisma to me is, you know, it's charisma is king. It's not the medium, it's the message. And those guys don't just have that down. They're articulating something that's almost impossible to articulate, and it's resonant. It's like hitting. And Joel Osteen to me he's not the most charismatic one to me. I'm not like, I don't know, but I get the appeal of him.
Right. He's not the most charismatic, but he's still a billionaire
he kills.
And I dated this guy, and as a gift, I brought him to Joel Osteen's church. And so I went there, and it's like, I don't know, it's just all these people getting off on this message or whatever. And to me, it just feels manipulative, and it doesn't feel like real to me. So I don't really get anything out of that.
There's him, and then there's Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And there's a great documentary on Tony Robbins, which is really, really good. I think it's on Netflix. It's very interesting to see how those, and you know, the people, like they have to become a draw as well. Like for them to be in a church, like they're trying to sell tickets also. It's also like a business.
For sure. And I think that's the thing that makes it slimy to me, is that it's not pure. There's nothing pure about it. And the fact that there's so many people who believe that this person really wants the best for you and all this stuff is just like, really? But it works for some people. So I can't knock it. You know, religion works for some people.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.